Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. My husband's putting my daughter to sleep, so I thought this would be a great time to come on and talk about fatigue. This is something that was asked in one of the new members who have joined, so thank you so much for asking this question. A lot of times we don't talk about fatigue and PCOS because it's not really the most prevalent, or I guess diagnosed symptom of PCOS, because when we're thinking about PCOS, we're thinking about cycles, weight, the hirsutism, the hair loss, the excessive hair growth. That is hirsutism, the acne, and so those testosterone-like symptoms. And so what I want to come on here today and talk about is fatigue. It's such a massive symptom that so many women with PCOS experience. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the causes, and I'm going to talk about what to look for in labs, and then the treatment. So the first things first is the causes of fatigue and PCOS can be insulin resistance, so the changes in blood sugar throughout the day. When blood sugar drops, we can have symptoms of fatigue. So this roller coaster ride of glucose throughout the day can actually cause this symptoms of fatigue, especially if you're not eating enough protein, healthy fats in each of your meals. I would say the most important meal, obviously we know, a lot of people say this, is breakfast. So if you can get enough protein in that breakfast, at least 20 grams, depending on what your labs look like, it can be more than this, and how you're exercising, but standard would be around 20 grams. And so number one thing, make sure you have protein every single meal. That's going to help stabilize blood sugar and treat the insulin resistance. The other thing is supplementation for insulin resistance. Now, one of the most researched supplement for this is myoinositol. I'll drop a link below for a supplement company that is Canadian. There's many out there, but Ovasitol is a great one. Ovafolic is a Canadian brand that I've been using here in Canada, and it's been working pretty well for myself, for my patients as well. NFH, PCOS Bioclinic Naturals. It's called PCOS Care by Bioclinic Naturals. I think those are the top ones that I can think of off the top of my head. Ovafolic has free shipping this month, and I have a coupon, I believe, for 20% off, so I'll drop it below. But in any case, myoinositol is probably one of the most researched supplements for insulin resistance, can really help with fatigue if we're trying to manage blood sugar. The second thing for fatigue is looking at our nutrients. How is our iron? How is our vitamin D? How is those are actually the top, or B12 is the top three that I would say that I'd be looking for in lab work. And so iron stores, so ferritin, typically when I see this around 60, 70, 80 in Canadian units. I'm actually forgetting the actual units, but check with your doctor the units in your country, what's appropriate. Check your iron. B12 is also important. It helps us to make red blood cells, gives us energy, helps stabilize our mood. So it's really important to check B12 as well. And then vitamin D. I've found that even just correcting a vitamin D deficiency and not really doing anything else can really help fatigue, especially in PCOS. We know there's a deficiency of vitamin D in women with PCOS. So if we can work on correcting this deficiency, a lot of things can change for women with PCOS. So definitely look into vitamin D as well if you're experiencing fatigue. So insulin resistance was the first thing we talked about. Nutritional deficiencies, those would be my top things to look at: iron, vitamin D, B12. Last but not least is your thyroid. The thyroid can really impact fatigue and your ability to, thyroid does so many functions for our body. Fatigue, energy. It helps us with our energy. It helps us with our metabolism. It helps us with our mood. It helps with the temperature regulation. It helps us with our sleep. So many things that it's helping with. Thank you for the hearts, whoever's on here with me right now. It's true. The thyroid is so important. And we know that PCOS women have an increased risk of hypothyroidism. So it's really important to get your thyroid levels checked. and correct anything that could be going on there. Some nutritional deficiencies we know with hypothyroidism are things like selenium and zinc. And one of the herbs that I find that can be really helpful in hypothyroidism is ashwagandha. So work with some kind of healthcare practitioner to help guide you on figuring out where the fatigue is coming from. And then I've talked a little bit about what you can do about it. Sometimes people feel that they need to go out and exercise and move their body to get their energy levels up, which is true. It can really help energy, but also we need to look at other factors as well, because fatigue is a more complex thing when it comes to PCOS. So I hope this was, a little bit insightful in terms of giving you some ideas on if you're experiencing fatigue, what to do. Last but not least is adrenal fatigue. So the adrenal glands on our kidneys, they secrete cortisol, our stress hormone. If cortisol is imbalanced throughout the day, it can also cause fatigue. If we're constantly stressed, we're in a high stressful job or situation for long term, this can deplete our cortisol, or it can cause us to make too much cortisol all the time, and that can also impact the adrenal glands and also our energy levels. So, and sometimes if our cortisol is off, then our sleep might be off. A lot of people will say like, hey, I am like tired, but then when I get into bed, I can't fall asleep. And this could be your cortisol. Cortisol is supposed to decline as the day is done and before bedtime, so that melatonin can rise so that you can go to sleep. So if you're finding that you're tired, but you're still like wide awake, it could be your cortisol. So working on that through supplementation, but also self-care, things like taking a bath, deep breathing, meditation, yoga, those things can be helpful. But oftentimes I'm using herbs here as well to help the patients get more energy, balance cortisol, and help them to fall asleep, stay asleep. And then also it helps with stress and can help with energy as well, because there's a few herbs in there that can help bring more stimulation and more stamina to the body when we're treating the adrenal glands. So again, I hope this was really helpful. Next week, I have a webinar, 3 Ways to Rethink Your PCOS. I'm really excited to talk about ways in which, we might not be thinking of this correctly. And I'm going to challenge you to think about ways in which you can rethink your PCOS and what you might be doing that might not be necessarily working, and how we can switch it. So join me at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to drop the link below to sign up. If you have any questions at all, let me know. The recording will be sent out for this as well. I'm also going to be talking about my online PCOS course in this webinar, Your PCOS Planner. So come join me there, learn a little bit more about how I can support you, and have a good night and weekend. See you there.